Okay, today for dinner I am making one of my absolute favorite Chinese tofu dishes, Mapo tofu. So Mapo tofu is probably the most quintessential Sichuanese tofu dish that I know of. It's kind of one of those dishes that is pretty emblematic of Sichuan, that province of China, and we're gonna make it today. So I'm kind of playing fast and loose with Fuchsia Dunlop's recipe from her book, Every Grain of Rice. I will link to that book and where you can get it in the description. And right here in front of me is my mise en place for the dish. So I'm going to kind of go through the ingredients that we have here and talk about them a little bit, and then we will get cooking once my rice is pretty much done steaming. So top leftmost, this is kind of the star ingredient of the dish. Mapo tofu wouldn't be Mapo tofu without this. So this red paste is called doubanjiang. I might be weird on that pronunciation, but doubanjiang is essentially a fermented and salted chili bean paste with fava beans and other things as well. So it's fermented chilies and fava beans mixed in with oil, essentially, and you get this kind of coarsely ground mash. It's really, really savory, very spicy, very flavorful. This is the main flavor profile of the dish. And this is going to give the dish kind of this red rust-colored appearance. So that is number one. A couple of not odd, but hard to find ingredients. These are fermented soybeans. They're these kind of withered looking black little spheres that smell kind of bizarrely like chocolate in a way, but they are very salty, very savory as well. And these in Chinese are called duqi. And another pretty classic component of the dish. This is our aromatic base. So this is minced garlic and ginger in pretty much equal quantities. I would say maybe about a tablespoon. And finely chopped scallion whites. That is our aromatic base in conjunction with those other two guys. Over here I've got some scallion whites that have been sliced on a bias like this. And over here, these are some end of the season broccoli shoots from the garden. So I picked these earlier this evening, and I, along with those, picked some green beans as well from the garden. And what I did was I blanched the broccoli and the beans in boiling water for a couple of minutes, shocked them, drained them, spun them pretty much dry, and they're just hanging out here. So what I'm going to do is make the Mapo tofu, transfer it out of the wok, and then very quickly stir fry these green vegetables with some soy sauce, and that is it. And lastly, and we'll kind of see how this goes as the process goes on, but this is a starch slurry. This is about a teaspoon of potato starch mixed in with about a couple of tablespoons of water. So this starch slurry is going to be the thickening aspect of our dish. This gets added right at the end to kind of thicken the sauce that glazes the tofu. And I'll explain and show you that more as we go. And then, of course, there's tofu. So this is extra firm tofu cut into bite-size-ish chunks, and it's just steeping in warm, hot salted water. Yeah, so that is good to go. And it's really important that everything is prepared, because once things start hitting the wok, it's pretty much full steam ahead. It happens really fast. The dish comes together in a few minutes. So it's important to have all of your stuff kind of stove side and ready to go. And lastly, we will serve this entire thing with rice that I'm currently cooking in my rice cooker. So we're gonna get started. All right, the rice has a few more minutes to steam, so we're gonna go ahead and get started on the dish. So medium-ish heat on the wok. This is a 14-inch carbon steel wok. I got this years ago at a mall in Rhode Island. Pretty random, but this wok is awesome. Perfect size for me. Carbon steel is kind of the ideal material for a wok. Why that is, it's a whole nother discussion, but for another time. So medium-ish heat. This is not really a stir fry, meaning it's not going to be happening over super high heat, tossing everything over like a super high flame. This is more of a braise. I would consider it's more of like a quick braise. We're braising the tofu in a sauce. So this is more of a gentle process in comparison to a high heat stir fry. So let's start with a couple tablespoons of rice bran oil in the wok, like so. Get that hot. So what we're going to be doing essentially is creating a chili oil of its own. So once this doubanjiang hits the oil, it'll imbue the oil with all of that chili goodness and yumminess, and it will kind of give the dish that oily, desirable texture. All right, so in with our doubanjiang. Cook this out in our oil. In next with our duchi, our fermented soybeans. Whoop. Cook those. Just for a bit. Very gentle cook on all of this. You're really not trying to blast it all with heat. It's more of a gentle heat, gentle building. All right. And then thirdly, in with our minced garlic, minced ginger, and minced scallion whites. A touch more oil. Yum, smells amazing. See how that oil is getting really dark red? That's exactly what we want. Okay, that base is done, and now from here, we add our tofu. Being very gentle as to not break the pieces. That's why I'm using this perforated spoon is pretty ideal, so I can transfer it all out of the saucepan. Turn that down. This is a 14-ounce block. Ideally, it would be a pound, so 16 ounces, but this is what I had at the store. This is what they had at the store. Boom, boom. Get every last little cube, every last nubbin. No nubbin left behind. It's the no nubbin left behind act. of 2021. Come on, little guys. Come on. They swimming. Y'all is swimming. All right, that's all of them. Oh, nope, I lied. One little straggler. Come on. All right, that's that. So now we very carefully fold the tofu in on itself, kind of glazing all of the pieces, coating all of the pieces in this very aromatic base. All right, like so. From here, we add half a cup of water. And then we're gonna bring this to a simmer. And let that simmer just for a few minutes. And then we will finish with our potato flour and water slurry to thicken it. And then we'll plate it up. Stir it around to get that starch redistributed. And then with this, you kind of want to add incrementally right to the center. And then see how that thickens. And you'll notice that very quickly that slurry is going to thicken all of this liquid. And it kind of binds it and emulsifies it in a way, and you kind of get this very silky mouthfeel. Let me do a little more. Boom, boom. So see how that's thickened up a bit? It's not as watery looking. All right, and that's the dish. Plate this up. Boom. And that is the dish right there. So while that chills out, I'm gonna give my wok a quick clean out, and then we'll stir fry these greens. All right, super high heat this time. Go in with some oil. Let that smoke. And in with our blanched beans and broccoli. Very brief. And in with a bit of soy sauce. And that is it. Finish the tofu with a bit more scallion. And that is the completed dish. Hopefully you can see this in the light. There's that. And then our very briefly stir-fried garden vegetables with some soy sauce. And we're gonna have this with some rice. And that is that.